In this lesson, we're going to talk about collars, harnesses, and leashes. So one of the things that we don't allow at Rocking Paw are pinch collars. It is a form of punishment to the dogs, of course. If they pull, then the pinch collars bite into them. I know a lot of other trainers use them. I just don't. So that's one thing that we don't allow here. I also don't allow choke collars. Choke collars are those collars that are made out of chains and you put it through the one side and you put it around. The reason why I don't allow choke collars is because I have seen three, I know what 2 and 3 is, 3 dogs choke themselves out. They didn't care that they were pulling. And with a choke collar, it's a little different from any of your collars, because if your dogs are pulling, it's pushing against their windpipe. But with a choke collar, when it's tight around them, it is shutting off venous and arterial flow. So just like putting a person into a headlock, they will just pass out. And so you'll see these dogs with choke collars on walking down the street, and then they just drop, and then they come to, and then they start pulling again. So I would rather not use choke collars. There's some other things that are more gentle when teaching your dogs to walk. So when it comes to a collar, and I told you this in a different lesson, I don't leave collars on at home for a couple different reasons. I have multiple dogs, and I don't want them getting tangled in a collar and asphyxiating one another. And then also, if they're in their crate and they have the collar on, they can get hung up, and that can happen as well. So when we put on a collar and a leash or a combo, I do it just when we're leaving. Otherwise, my dogs run naked. But I do want to show you the differences in what buckle collars are and martingales are, and then the size of the lengths of leashes and the types. So this is a martingale. It's a little fancy because it's got gems and stuff on it. But instead of it buckling like this, it'll have either a chain or it will have a cloth loop like this. And so your martingales work really good for those dogs that have thick necks and small heads. So it doesn't matter how tight you put their collar on, it's gonna slip over their head. So this will just slip over your dog's head just like this. And so when they try to escape out of it, this pulls tight. And again, it's not shutting off any venous or arterial flow because it's still loose on your dog, but it's not coming over the top of the head. This is called a martingale collar. The collar leash combos that I use come from Angela Hudson Designs. And so they're the same thing, but without the chain. I do like thick collars because when our dogs are small, whenever we buy collars, they're very thin like this. And so what happens is when they pull up against them, it essentially has a smaller area that it's pressing on, and you'll hear your dogs going like this. So I do like the thicker ones, and this is all furry and everything like this, and it's just fancy. This is Reba's new collar. And so when I put it on, it slips over like this, and again, it's loose in here. But if she pulls, she won't be able to get out of it because this closes down so it won't slip over her head. So this is a martingale with a leash combo. And so this is essentially probably 5 feet long when stretched out. And again, this comes from Angela Hudson Designs. I love these. Every one of my dogs have them. If you look right here against the wall over here, I have one for every one of my dogs. I like them because they're soft. If my dogs get bored and I'm talking to somebody, I can play a game of tug with them. They're made out of minky. They're really strong, and I've never gone through one. They're super nice, and I personalize them. So her AKC name is here, and this is her color combination that I do for her, and then of course her name is here. I have some that say Rocking Paw Golden as well. Buckle collars are collars that you will fit. They go according to extra small, small, medium, large, and you can adjust them just like this. And then they use either a plastic or a metal buckle, and they come apart like this. You also have the ones that you can stick the little thing in like a belt. And of course, those have to be specific to what size your dogs are. Again, you see that my collars are always going to be thicker collars because it's not going to push against that windpipe as such. So those are the types of collars that we use. Again, you're going to use the belt buckle type or the plastic or the metal type, or then there's the martingale collars. I don't use harnesses. I want to teach my dogs how to walk on a leash correctly, and harnesses can hurt the shoulders depending on what size harnesses that you use, and also it can make them pull harder because they pull with their chest instead of being able to pull with their neck, of course. There is a harness that I do use occasionally, and it looks like this. It goes over, the head comes in this way, and then it has a little handle on it. I have some that are a little bit thicker than this. They're called Julius Canines, and they come in every size. We'll use these when going to sporting events, or if I'm training some service dogs and I need to use my demo dog, I'll put this on my dog. Leashes come in all different sizes. They come in tabs that are about this long. Some of your giant breeds like your Danes or your Mastiffs use those because they're super tall, and even if you have a 4-foot leash, they're going to have a long line in front of you. And then they come in 4 and 6 foot. Most owners buy a 6-foot leash and then they roll it around their hand and to try to shorten it. So a 4-foot is usually the leash that I'm going to recommend. A 4 or 5 foot. 6 is starting to get really long. But I like just your normal leashes that have a little bit of thickness to them, like this, so they don't rip your hand. This one has a nice cushion handle like this. What I don't like about this leash is it has a bungee in the middle. And the reason why I don't like this is because the dog is always going to try to hit towards the end of the bungee. There's also leather leashes like this and chain leashes. I see a lot of people use the chain leashes when their dogs try to chew through a leash when they're on their walks. And that's a good option, but they're so heavy. And then of course we don't want our dogs breaking a tooth on a chain leash. Leashes that I don't like, I don't use any kind of retractable leash, and the retractables are not allowed in class. So make sure that you get yourself a nice nylon leash, or if you want some more information on the ones I have, she has about a 3-month waiting list, but they're fantastic leashes. This is a neoprene leash. It's called a long line. These are 8 foot long. When you want to take your dog, if you have to take your dog out to go potty and you don't have a fence, or if you want to take your dog for a sniff walk, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in class. These are the ones that I recommend because they don't pick up stickers or weeds or anything like that. And so we'll talk about those a little bit more in class. There are other harnesses. Kong has lots of harnesses that potty bags come out of the top and such like that. I don't care if you use a harness. I'm just not a fan because I would rather have my dog learn to walk nicely on a leash with a collar. But it's all just preference. Dogs that need to wear harnesses would be ones that are prone to tracheal collapse, such as Yorkies or Yorkie mixes. They do much better on a harness so that there's no pressure on that trachea at all. All right, if you have any questions, or if you want to show me your leash and harness or collars in comments, or if you need some more help on picking one out, just let me know.